Hey, good morning everybody. This is Burton here for the first instalment of my middle class review. You're probably wondering what this is. Well, basically it's just me looking back at my own life in the past 20 years and just telling you basically the wins and the failures that I've had, or wins and losses, and see if you can derive some value from it. I actually have an arts degree. I focused on sociology, historiography, demographics and economics, and I've spent the last 20 years of my life, even my working life, looking at these things and looking at Australian society, and I've noticed, just my observation, I think the real middle class is shrinking, and my goal, if I can give something back, is basically share my journey, what I've done to actually not become a debt slave, coming from a working class background, and get to that real middle class dream. It's pretty frightening to me when you see a lot of people in Australia now, they're retiring, in their 60s, and most of them have mortgage debt. They use their superannuation, or 401k as my American friends call it, to pay off debt. To me, this is kind of scary. To me, I think most Aussies, with that dream of home ownership and living a good life, having a family, they should be able to retire, owning their home, having some superannuation funds there. Most don't nowadays. So to me, this is quite frightening. Private debt in Australia, as a percentage of GDP, Australia now has the highest level of private debt per person in the world. So you should be concerned. All Aussies should be concerned about it. So what I'll be doing is just not giving financial advice or anything. If you want that, I suggest you start with a book by Scott Pape or Noel Whittaker. They're a good guide to go by, but I'm just going to give you my examples of what I've done to get, to the middle class from that working class background. And no, I don't have huge amounts of debt, unlike a lot of other people, unfortunately. And hopefully you can get some value out of this. And so every couple of weeks I'll be coming up with just information that I think will be valuable to you. And especially if you're a young person wanting to start and achieve, especially when you feel like you're priced out of the property market and things like that, I'm just going to give you some of the rules that the middle class and successful people live by, that I've learnt and I've studied and I've learned from a lot of successful people. And it's all pretty consistent with these people. But like I said, if you want real financial advice, go search out a good financial advisor and read the books by the people I've just mentioned to you. So I'll give you just a quick tip though, just an observation I've made, 3 qualities of the successful people that I've seen in life. I think there's 3 things: self-control or self-discipline, taking responsibility for life, and integrity. I even heard from a psychologist recently on 4BC on the radio. She was talking about they examined thousands of very successful people. They could be someone who's dyslexic, but they had a huge earth-moving company. They could be someone who's a surgeon, could be a mining magnate, etc., etc. Anyway, all of them had the number 1 quality they all consistently had was self-discipline and self-control. Secondly, I look at taking responsibility. I think it's very important. Dr. Phil McGraw, I remember he said on TV once, old Dr. Phil, he said the biggest problem with Western society is the victim mentality. And it's true. A lot of people, they're victims and they want someone else to carry them through. They say the government should do more, or someone else should help me, or, what's in it for me? Forget that. A lot of us have had backgrounds that weren't ideal growing up. But so what? Most of my friends have had that, and many from single parent families, etc. However, they've all achieved by taking responsibility. Number 3, have integrity. Look, it's pretty embarrassing when you look at middle-class suburbs in Australia. There's a website now, you can actually look at what crimes people have been convicted for in households. And in middle Australia, or fake middle Australia as I call it, the debt slave middle class, there's fraud. It's a huge one. Now, these people obviously don't have integrity, but they've been convicted and that's on their record for the rest of their life. I'm pretty sure it would affect them long term. It's not going to do your chances of success very good if you don't have integrity. So there's just a quick little tip there for you. But as I said, this is just looking back on my journey over the past 20 plus years, my wins, my losses, and you know what? It's great to make mistakes and learn from mistakes. And sure, you're going to fail. Have a go. But I tell you what, it's better to take educated risks and learn from screw-ups like me, screw-ups that I've had, than screwing your own life over. Anyway, stay awesome.